Welcome to this video where you'll learn the facts about how to prevent getting killed all the time. If you have some situations where you die over and over again while feeling you can't do a thing about it, this video will help you to prevent those situations. Also, if you want to give your friends or allies tips to stop feeding, I think this video will be really valuable to you. Let's go over the 5 main points that really help you to stay alive during the match. So the first thing what I see way too often is when players are really predictable. If you play this game, you want to be as unpredictable as possible, which leads you to getting killed way less often. Let me explain how this works. So this starts with the way you walk. You can walk on just a straight line, which brings you from point A to B on the fastest way. This often has the preference because you want to be fast at your destination, right? Yes and no. Of course, when you just respawn and want to return to your lane, this is really the way to go, so you return as soon as possible to farm again. But in situations where you face an enemy, it might not be the best idea to walk in such a way. Especially against enemies who have to aim their skills. So heroes like Gusion, Franco, Beatrix and Valor have to aim their attacks to be successful. If they are experienced, you can bet they don't attack where you are, but predict where you will be before launching an attack. So if you walk in a straight line, it's so much easier for them to hit you. That's why you need to walk in an unpredictable way to minimize the chance of getting hit by the enemy. Like you see in this situation, Franco is trying to grab me with his hook, but he misses because I don't walk in a straight line, and therefore his hook is more a gamble than a well calculated shot. Also, if you walk away from heroes who have such an attack, don't walk backwards, but rather left or right, because their attack goes from one point to another in a line form. The only thing you accomplish when walking backwards is being hit a bit later. You want to walk sideways until the enemy uses his skill to hit you. Then you're safe and can choose to walk in a straight line to retreat on the fastest way possible. I hope this makes some kind of sense to you, and you now can do a better job dodging the attacks of the enemy. So the next thing you probably already heard dozens of times is paying attention to your minimap. I think I can make a whole video about this subject, but let me just go over the most important things right now. Unfortunately, there are just so many players who don't pay any or way too less attention to their minimap, which really gets you killed easily. Your main screen only shows a bit of the total map, while the minimap shows it all. By not checking your minimap, you minimize your sight to only like this little part of the total map. Please just check at least every 5 seconds your minimap, and this is really the bare minimum. You want to try to know where all enemies are, so you can determine if it's safe to push or should be more careful. Not only will this prevent you from getting killed all the time, it also shows you opportunities to make a kill or destroy the turret. Use this part of your screen to move your camera through the map. By doing this, you can hear if the enemy is killing a certain monster, so keep your ears open. This is especially useful when you haven't located the enemy jungler, or when the enemy at your lane is missing and you're wondering if he's killing a jungle monster or waiting in a bush to attack you. Believe me, this little trick saved me so many times. Also be careful before walking inside a push lane if you don't know where all enemies are located. To isolate yourself so far behind your allies or a turret is a great recipe to get ganked by one or multiple enemies. And believe me, you won't survive. I really can't say it enough. Just watch your minimap often, analyze where the enemies are or might be, and then make a choice. This simple trick makes you a way better Mobile Legends player, so start utilizing the minimap. Then the third subject I want to go over is all about adjusting. There are a few things you can adjust to getting killed way less often, and it starts with your hero. Since the start of this channel, I try to provide you information about which heroes are strong against each other. Your chance of winning is so much bigger when you adjust according to the heroes the enemy picks. For example, if the enemy has relative few CC skills, you can adjust a hero that is strong when enemy lack of CC skills like Odette, Farsa or Irrital. When the enemy has heroes that don't deal really high damage, but rather multiple small damage, you can choose heroes who got strong defensive abilities like Basha, Grok or Belleric. Or maybe they choose heroes that only attack from a close distance, which make heroes like Cecilion, Leslie or Clint really powerful. What I try to say is that adjusting your pick can make a huge difference and it really helps to stay alive. Make sure you don't pick a hero who have a weakness which can be utilized by the enemy team. To go even further, you can also choose your items according to the heroes the enemy choose, or the items they pick. Even if the enemy picks a hero that counters you, items can help to protect you or your team better. For tank heroes this applies the most. You always want to have 3 builds available. Once against a balanced team, one against a team with a lot of physical damage heroes, and one against more magic based heroes. So you can pick the right build in the right situation. But also other heroes might benefit from this trick. If you match up against an annoying Veil, which wipes out your HP in one combo, the Athena shield will save your life. I personally love to use blade armor at certain heroes, when matching up against at least 3 heroes who mainly deal damage with their basic attack. This item can help so much against such heroes, especially when you play a tanky hero or one that can recover HP really easily. The bottom line is, you need to base your choices on the playstyle of the enemy. Keep your eyes open and adjust accordingly. So another important aspect are the bushes, which are great places for an enemy to hide and launch a surprise attack. That's why you want to monitor them as good as possible. While not every hero can fulfill this task as well as other heroes, you want to understand how to act on a certain hero regarding the bushes. Some heroes have skills, which provide vision of the bush. Heroes like Nana, Popo and Koopa, Selena and Kagura can use their skills to check if the enemy are inside the bush without having to walk into it. If you play such a hero, make sure you gain vision of a bush, especially when enemies are missing and you want to go through the bush. This little trick helps you prevent getting killed, especially against high burst damage heroes. Then we have heroes with skills which can be cast on the bush to check if the enemy are inside of it. A few examples are heroes like Eve, Layla, Veil and Moskov, who can use a skill to check if the bush is safe or not. Those heroes should be a bit more careful than the ones we went over before, but are capable of checking the bush. Then we also have heroes who can't check the bush with skills and forced to walk into them. A few of such heroes are Mia, Estes, Veil, Chang'e and Leomord. When you play such heroes, you'll do best to avoid the bushes as much as possible, especially when you play a squishy hero or have no escape skill. Try to farm on a safe way while keeping some distance of the bush to retreat to safety when needed. To help such heroes move safe through the map, we have tank heroes who have an important job to gain vision. A tank should not only protect the carry, but also walk in front and check the bushes for hiding enemies. This way your team is way better protected, so fulfill this job as efficiently as possible. Bushes can mean danger, but knowing how to react on a certain hero really helps to manage the risk. So the very last thing, which might be the most important one, is positioning. Positioning also applies to the other 4 subjects we went over, but I want to go a bit deeper to help you stay at the right spot at the right time. So it starts with positioning on your lane. Like I explained earlier on, the bushes might form a danger, especially when enemies are missing. That's why you want to be in a position where you can return to your turret when being ganked. If you play at the bottom line, the bush is close to your lane and is the perfect bush to get ganked. That's why you want to choose a hero that has some escape skill, high defense or flicker. If you don't have any of them, you need to position yourself as far away from the bush as possible. At the mid lane there are 2 bushes, which is double as dangerous. Mage heroes are not known as the best escapers, so try not to push during the first minutes. There's just a really high chance the jungler, top or bottom lane has a visit at the mid lane, and when you're attacking the turret, it's an easy kill for them. That's why you want to clear the minions really fast and gank another lane when possible. At the top lane you have the bush quite far away. This means things like high HP and escape skill or flicker are a bit less important. At this lane it's easier to push, so you can take a bit of calculated risk to get the turret down, but remember to keep your eyes on the minimap. Then we have positioning in a team fight, and maybe the hardest role regarding positioning is that one of the marksmen. I see so often that a marksman walks way too far in front, being an easy target. It might be tempting to go in front to shoot the first enemy you see, but this often isn't the best strategy. A well-positioned team starts with the tank or sometimes the fighter in front. As a marksman, you don't want to focus those heroes, so just move back for your safety. As a mage, you can position yourself in the middle of the team, or close to the marksman, if the enemy has some dangerous assassin you can protect him from. The tank and fighter should be a bit in front of your team, where the tank should focus on protecting his allies instead of chasing the enemies. This also applies to the support, but you can move a bit more backwards, especially if you have a tanky fighter in your team. Then we have the assassin, who shouldn't be in the team but needs to move sidewards to try to reach the marksman or mage hero. If you position yourself well, it should be a lot easier to stay alive. Hopefully, this information helps you to improve your gameplay. If you have any suggestions for future videos or want to share your thoughts about this subject, just write a comment. As always, thank you for watching and I'll be seeing you again in the next guide.